I've looked at the outside world and it has become so intense. The world is a mirror and we have to look inside ourselves to make those changes. And kind of that phrase, as above, so below, as within, so without. Whatever we need to do inside will be reflected in the outside world.
This episode of Spill the Tea with LLIB features the incredible Sally Cowman. So can you share with our listeners a little bit more about your business and what sets it apart?
Yeah, so Soul Syntropy has been created just to help people feel better, to nurture them or support them to nurture themselves so that they can create an internal sense of well-being and then navigate their life with that internal sense of well-being. Syntropy means to tend towards order, coherence and life.
Oh, wow.
And the external world sometimes is not coherent, it's intense and it's chaotic. And so it's been my experience and my life's journey as well, really, to create a sanctuary inside of myself so that I can nurture myself and protect myself from what's happening on the outside. So I'm a somatic coach, accredited priestess, and I've got a background in nutritional therapy with a postgrad qualification in nutritional lifestyle and functional medicine. So that kind of gives me a decent understanding of humans as these biological, psychological, emotional, energetic and spiritual entities. And these different parts of us all kind of coexist together. And when we can start to kind of integrate those different parts of us, we tend to find this place of wholeness within ourselves, this sense of sovereignty and inner knowing, which can be like our real guiding light for how we navigate our life. So, I came all across all of this through my own journey and then started to help individuals. And then just, I don't know, over the last 3 years or so, I've looked at the outside world and it has become so intense. And I've kind of matured in myself by, it's not just about me anymore, it's about what's happening out there, and not only in our own country, but in different countries as well. So as I've matured, Soul Syntropy has taken on a greater purpose. And that purpose really is to support the evolution and the awakening of humanity, which when I say that, I'm like...
It's huge, isn't it?
It's huge. But what I mean by that is each one of us is part of a collective. And so I know when I look after my inner world that I feel better and I start to radiate a different frequency out into the world. So my relationships are different, the decisions I make are different. And how I play, how I work, how I rest, all of that starts to change. And so from my priestess work, I understand that the world is a mirror and we have to look inside ourselves to make those changes. And kind of that phrase, as above, so below, as within, so without. Whatever we need to do inside will be reflected in the outside world.
Wow.
So that's how, as an individual, if we do that inner work ourselves, we can start to create more harmony and coherence within ourselves, which then creates more harmony outside.
That's amazing.
Wow.
So what inspired you into this particular niche, and what's your journey then been like how was you presented this opportunity, or did you find it yourself? Like, what was that like before?
I am very connected to how I feel inside. So I was an emotional child. And when I was about 8 or 9, I had a few things happen in my life. One of them being that, unfortunately, I was forcefully held and inappropriately touched by 2 of my male classmates. And so that kind of fractured my sense of trust in the world. And at that point, just instantly, my nervous system, I didn't go into fight or flight. I went into freeze and fawn. So kind of people-pleasing behavior to keep myself safe and have this sense of belonging. But from there, my nervous system really was on high alert, and that changes the chemicals in your body. It changes inflammation, and then the brain, the mitochondria in the brain get dysregulated, so we can't produce serotonin, dopamine as well as we'd like to. And kind of really always having a sense of within my body something not feel safe and secure. And move on about 15 years. And it's really no surprise because the body speaks the mind. And my body developed endometriosis, which is in the pelvic area, which is where if we have something happen to us and we're not able to process that at the time and have somebody to help us ground and feel safe in our body afterwards, then that stays as trauma in the body. And so that can lead to disease. It can also affect our mental health. And so then the endometriosis happened, really, severe pain. IVF twice, which unfortunately didn't happen. So I was unable to have children. And all of this, the feelings inside were just getting more and more intense. So the nutritional therapy came along to support my physical health and did a lot to reduce the inflammation, reduce the pain. But about 2018, there was a spiritual element that came in, and that's where I studied to become a priestess. I also did work with, there's a chap called Dr. Joe Dispenza. I don't know if you've heard of him. So I started his retreats then and was doing some breath work, and my life force energy was really powerfully activated. So they call that Kundalini energy. And it's fantastic because you become more aware of the world and love and these amazing feelings as the life force energy is moving through you. But at the same time, that energy shakes up your cells, and any trauma and emotion that's held within the body, it gives it a good old rattle. So it all comes up to be explored. And so these emotions were coming up. I was studying the priestessing at the same time, learning about archetypes and our light side and our shadow side as well. All those places we feel grief and blame and shame and judgment. So all of that was kind of laid bare. But at the time, I hadn't done the somatic work. So I didn't know how to regulate my nervous system. So anxiety actually got worse at that point.
Yeah.
And I have tenacity and I have curiosity. And when they come together, it's like, okay, what am I going to do about this? And that's where the somatic work came in, to regulate the nervous system, so that now I have a greater capacity to hold what is there in my emotions. So even though like now I feel nervous doing this, I can still hold that and know that it's okay.
Yeah.
And I can dig deep and look at those emotions. And when we clear ourselves of that blame and shame, we liberate ourselves from so much. Yeah. And that's where that place of inner knowing and that inner authority comes, the sovereignty.
Wow.
Thanks for
What a
sharing
journey.
that. Yeah. No,
Thank
thank
you.
you so much for sharing that with us.
So in terms of that's the whole host of work that you do, which is just incredible. And it's a really strange feeling because even just sitting here in your presence, I feel really calm, and it's come in quite shaken today. But you have this incredible calm and energy, which just sort of makes you sit here and go, oh, like, I'm okay, all is well.
Yeah.
We're fine. But what do you find the most fulfilling thing about the work that you do?
It's the somatic work, and it's just what you've explained. So as a priestess, I clear my energy and I do my deep work so that I can, sounds a bit corny, but I can be a vessel of unconditional love. So when my clients come into my sessions, I'm much better one-to-one and I feel much calmer, but we regulate and we co-regulate together.
Wow.
So I have to regulate my body so that when a client comes in, they can regulate. And then when your nervous system is regulated, your brain waves calm down. And in that point, I feel like you have access to your higher self. And so all that inner wisdom in a client's body, all that inner wisdom from their higher self drops in for them in a session. And it's not really me. Although I know the terrain, I know what it's like. I've been on those mountains. I've been in the valley of so-called death and all of that. It's not me telling them, you know, this is what you do next. It's me creating that space and that safety so that they can connect to their inner wisdom and find their own way to navigate life. And when they know, when they feel it, when they know that it's a yes for them, that they're on the right track, that's the best thing.
I bet.
Yeah.
I bet. So are there any like tips and things that people can do at home who've never sort of done anything like this before? Where would you begin with that? Like what would be something that someone who's never done anything like that before, where would they start?
The simplest thing you can do is something called orientation. And it is literally to sit and to use your senses to orient yourself here in the present moment now. So rather than having kind of an inward focus, you can kind of pull your energy back and down into your body, and then you just look around at what's around you. So you use your sight to see things in detail, the color, the texture. You use your hearing. Like now I can hear the hum of the electrics. And what you're doing is you are uniting what your senses are picking up with what your mind is registering. So that brings this unity within you. Rather than thinking in your mind about the the future or the past, you're bringing your body and mind together, and that really, really regulates the nervous system.
Wow. And that's doable for anybody at any age, isn't it? Which is perfect, because often things seem so out of reach, you know, for our children and young people. And we work with a lot of those, don't we, who have these really dysregulated nervous systems and are living in this anxious state all the time.
Yeah.
And that is so accessible for them as well. And it's accessible in any space, in a classroom setting, in a workplace, in, you know, while you're outside. That very technique's just so accessible wherever you are at whatever point.
No one would know that you were doing that as well. Using your senses is it's very private as well. Like you can sit in a classroom and do it.
Yeah.
I think some people think it has to be a physical thing and people are going to look, and especially our young people, a lot of our young people get taken out the class now and be removed from the situation, and they get put in a room on their own, and that's great in terms of they've got their own space. But if they could try this first, that would be, I think that'd be incredible.
And we have to talk about neurodiversity, because for some people that won't work. And we also need to talk about the body as well, because movement, you know, if you've got a kid that's constantly clicking a pen.
I have 3 of those children.
Really?
Yes, I do.
And that's, strangely enough, you know, it may be irritating to another person, but that's the organic intelligence of their body going, I need to move, I need comfort.
So can we tell you a secret?
What?
So on the show, when this show's been nearly almost a year now, we've been doing Spill the Tea, which is incredible. But Cal has got a foot. She's got 2 feet. But at the start, when we started recording and playing the episodes back, Cal's foot next to the guest, if you watch any of the first episodes, Cal's foot is like that.
Yeah, I have to tuck it behind.
Yeah. So now she has to.
I have to sit here. Claire said,
that's why she has to sit on that side, because she has to tuck her foot away so she does not harm any guests.
Like kicking them.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So what's up with me? How'd you fix me?
Please fix that.
Nothing. This is the beauty of it. This is the real beauty of it, that we've got to look at things really back to front, and that is your body knowing exactly what it's to do to comfort you. So, you know, for someone, they may need movement and their body to move in random and weird ways as well, that may not look, let's say, acceptable to the outside world. But, if you can spend 5 minutes in an evening moving your body in whatever way it wants to, whether it's even your leg kicking out or something, and it sounds daft, but just to give it that expression so that energy doesn't stay within, it can come out. Yeah.
But not today, foot, not today.
Yeah.
Maybe during
your time is later.
I love that. So if you could be remembered for just one thing, what would it be?
With family, I'd like to say it's my presence, just being there and accompanying people. And in my work, I'm not quite sure yet. My astrology, I study something called the gene keys as well. Mm-hmm. All of that shows that I'm a late bloomer. And when I hit 50 next year, that's when things are going to shift. So I'm going to keep that one open if that's okay, because I have
we'll have you
idea.
Back next year. And we'll ask the question. Yeah, definitely.
So what does that side of the work look like?
What's that?
The astrology and...
So I just use astrology. I have a mentor who does astrology for me, and it's just one of my guiding lights.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. When I look at the bigger picture of the cosmos and the mathematics that make all of us up, there is no doubt to me that the way the planets are aligned when we were born has a huge effect on what's encoded in our DNA.
I'd love to do that work.
Yeah.
See, my birthday is the 10th of the 10th, but I was born at 10 past 10, weighing 10 pounds, and I was 10 days late.
No.
Yes, I was. But my lucky number's 3. But I would love to do the astrology side of things just to see what that means. There's got to be a bit of meaning in that, hasn't there?
It means you're a 10 out of 10.
Yeah. 10 out of 10 nutter.
10 out of 10.
Nutter. Yeah. With a dodgy foot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd love to do the astrology behind something.
Yeah.
Maybe we should get you an astrology reading.
Maybe.
I shall pass on her details.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. I do love a bit of networking in a podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's yours meant for you so far, apart from late bloomer?
My astrology. I am, strangely enough, here to do what the purpose of soul syntropy is, which is to support people awakening. Yeah. And that does seem like sometimes maybe a bit woo-woo, sometimes a big thing. But just in sitting with the individual and, supporting people to awaken and kind of look through their shadow stuff. I do the dark stuff, that maybe people don't always appreciate or want to go there.
I love that.
Yeah.
We need more people like that, definitely. So if you could spill the tea with anybody, who would it be?
Yeah.
Or have a cup of tea with anyone?
I would love to have tea with a character that we know as Mary Magdalene, that comes from my priestess lineage. Yeah. And I've been studying her, and she was really a counterpart to Jesus. And she had that inner power, that inner sovereignty, and she was the masculine sacred energy of the feminine. She was the feminine sacred energy. He was the masculine. And I love to sit down with her because the world has really lost a connection to that divine feminine energy. And it is rising, in what you're doing here, that feminine energy is really rising. And it's the nurturing, it's the emotions, it's the communication, and we have to bring a balance back and have a remembrance of all that energy. So to speak to her, to go, okay, how are we going to do this, would be quite fantastic. Yeah.
What an incredible guest she would be.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. Wow. Okay. Well, on the show, as you know, if you've watched, we have a closing tradition that we like to ask our guests. And that is, if you were to make myself and Cal the perfect cup of tea, no teapot, how would you make it?
Cup, tea bag in, water on top, stir, squeeze of the tea bag, take the tea bag out, and then the milk.
Mary Magdalene is very, very impressed with you, as am I, because you're a team Cal. And that, I think, just goes to show that lineage is long, isn't it?
It goes back.
Yeah, right, way back to Jesus' time, when Mary Magdalene was out there popping that good energy into a cup of tea.
So you are a team, Cal, so congratulations.
Yeah. Congratulations. There's many of us out there. Claire likes to think there's fewer than her team, but there's lots of us out there. And for a second, I thought you were going to be a green tea person or a herbal tea person. No. Good old cup of tea.
Do like a cup of tea, yes.
Definitely my team.
Yeah. It has to be decaf, but I do like a cup of tea, yes.
We'll allow that.
I have 3 pen clickers and a dodgy foot, so I have to have the caffeine. But on that happy note, thank you so much for sharing your journey with us and your story, because it's just incredible.
You've been an amazing guest.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And thank you for this opportunity to do this. This really helps.
Now you will impact so many.
And we'll see you next year when you're 50.
Yeah, see what's happening then.
See what's happening.
Yeah, can't wait.
Amazing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yay.